Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, as I often say on here, one of the things I'm most proud of this podcast is that we've interviewed guests from over 50 different countries and have people listening in over 165 countries, and we've all inspired each other along the way. But before we begin today, I want to give a big shout out to Mujtaba Mehdi, and apologies if I've mispronounced your name there. I really wanted to get it right. I'm pretty hopeless sometimes. But he works at Trivago and he listens to the podcast in Germany, I think. And he messaged me on LinkedIn, said he loves the show and loves how we find so many success stories. So welcome to our tech community, my friend. I hope you stick around. And just a big thank you for taking the time, not just to listen to the show, but to connect with yours truly too. And when I say it at the end of every episode, connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, etc. It's not just hit follow. It's having little conversations, little messages. Tell me where you listen. That's why I do this every day. And today I'm going to take your ears on a journey all the way to Australia in a discussion about adaptive portfolio management. Because the business environment is tremendously volatile there. There's no secret about that. And managing the complexity, uncertainty and ambiguity around all that can be notoriously challenging, especially when you throw in the speed of technological change and how businesses are forced to evolve, adapt, do it quickly just to keep up. And I think for all those reasons, the portfolio cycle of the past is just no longer fit for purpose, and project portfolio management needs to adapt. But why is the traditional portfolio cycle not fit for purpose anymore? Well, this is just one of the many questions we're going to explore today. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Australia, where Paul from Sensei Project Solutions, he's waiting to share his story. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are?
Thanks, Neil, and thank you for the warm welcome. I specialize in digital transformation projects. I also have a keen interest in the subject of digital leadership. And usually I tell people I'm a very lucky guy. I've been lucky to have worked in a wide range of sectors, from aviation to financial services. And lately I'm doing a lot of work with many Australian public service agencies. So in many of these environments, the engagements that I have been focused on, technology projects that facilitate digital transformation. What gives me energy is organizations that are fast moving and innovative. I enjoy new ideas and ways of working. Currently, I'm with Sensei Project Solutions, but I've also worked with MIGSO PQ, EcoBank Transnational, and UBA Group. My background has been focused on information technology, information systems, and how they facilitate strategic business transformation. So I have 2 degrees in this. I love to share my experiences and learning from it. So I'm a published author, and I've also written several articles for platforms like Medium, Project Times, Business and Financial Times. I also write often on LinkedIn. I also enjoy presenting at events and doing anything I can help to empower others to succeed. So in a nutshell, Neil, that's me.
Wow, there is so much to unpack there. So I suppose the question I've got to ask is if we go back to your origin story, where was it your passion for technology come from, and what put you on this path today? Because you spin so many plates now, but I'm curious what lit that spark in you.
Well, it might sound a bit of a cliche, but I've always had a deep held passion for technology and understanding how it can be pushed beyond the boundaries of what is considered a limit at any given point in time. So I'm a natural problem solver. I love problems, big ones, never solved ones, all of them. My mom tells me that as a child, I was always trying to figure out how things worked, like my toys or appliances in the house. It is something that has always been a part of me, I think. So I started on technology career trajectory when I got my first electronic game, and was fascinated with how this was, developed and delivered. This was actually a Tetris game. And I'll probably give away my age if I say this, but it was an RS-99 classic game console. One of those handheld, bright red or blue ones that you just play Tetris on.
Yeah.
And from there, it has been my desire to work in the tech field. Where I grew up back in the day, there were no computers at my school. So any learning about computers and the internet had to be done outside of school hours. So I enrolled for classes in computing during my school holidays and I began teaching others as well, what I've learned shortly afterwards. And I think from then onwards, the wheels were set in motion for my technology future. Right after secondary school, I enrolled on a diploma course in computer engineering. After I'd done just a year of that program, I was asked to help out with the teaching as well, which was really good. And I finally got started in my first proper tech job when I was about 22 or 23 years old. My first job was in financial services, working in tech support, which was good.
Yeah.
But I found that I was quickly drawn to the project management side of it. And everything just took off after that. I combined my studies with working in delivering projects and ultimately consulting in it as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm one of the luckiest people alive. I feel grateful to my family and a lot of wonderful people that have helped me on my journey. That's why I'm always keen to talk about what I know or just help others out. Yeah. That's my origin story.
Wow, man, love it. And I know that handheld game console very, very well. But
yeah, that's cool.
But that path that led you to Sensei Product Solutions, and I'm conscious to be a lot of people listening all over the world hearing about you guys for the first time. So can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of problems that you set out to solve with your technology?
I work with a variety of clients and teams, consulting in project and portfolio management. Their typical goal is to work with clients to get a sense of their project management processes and methodologies. And then from there, I help them with guiding them to use the right project and portfolio management solution that can be implemented to help them achieve their strategic and tactical goals. So Sensei is a Microsoft Gold partner. We work with clients to solve their PMO pain points and help a lot of organizations of all sizes and industries improve the way that they work. We have one of the largest, most experienced and well-respected teams delivering the full suite of cloud-based Microsoft portfolio, program, project, and work management technologies, leveraging the Microsoft Power Pack. So Sensei's certified Microsoft preferred solution, it's called Sensei IQ, which is our flagship product, has been designed to gather, integrate, and surface all information across an organization's projects and portfolios into one consolidated view. What that helps you achieving is visibility and a single, reliable source of truth across an entire organization. And this is not always straightforward, as I've described, particularly integrating technology solutions into different clients' business environments. Every one of them is unique and it makes for interesting work. What we always aim for, though, is to be aware of possible roadblocks in advance that can often be unforeseen difficulties with these sorts of complex integrations, which require, an iterative approach and lots of experimentation to deliver a result that the client will be happy with. So this is because in many situations, the work that I do is helping clients to get technology to do what hasn't been done before, or deliver projects when there's no obvious approach to technical challenges for doing so. And given my love for problem solving and technology and my desire to help others, this type of consulting work is just perfect for me. So I really enjoy that and Sensei projects and lots of good people that I work with, yeah.
And I think at the moment, I'm here in the UK, you're in Australia, we've got people listening all over the world. But the one thing that everybody listening has got in common is the business environment is just tremendously volatile, even more so than it was in the past. And I think managing that complexity, uncertainty, ambiguity around all those things can be incredibly challenging, especially when the speed of technological change is just ramping ahead at breakneck speed. But it's never going to move this slow again, and businesses need to adapt so fast to keep up. So can you tell me a little bit more about why that portfolio cycle of the past is no longer fit for purpose and why project managers need to adapt to this new way of working now?
Yeah, now, simply put, the portfolio cycle is too rigid for these fast changing times. A traditional portfolio cycle is grounded in the concept of stability, but business environment is no longer stable in this manner. While the traditional portfolio cycle allows for intricate planning, it cannot adapt quickly. Yeah. So what you find when working with this type of approach is the project that is believed to have the greatest strategic benefit will get assigned resources. But since projects are not compared in a similar way, and because there's a lack of transparency around this, it is difficult to prioritize projects effectively. The real world changes so rapidly in these times that planning in this way is no longer appropriate. Things sometimes change within days or even faster. And developing a long-term plan that is inflexible to change isn't going to work anymore. In fact, the plan is very often out of date before it is even published. So what results from this is that it creates a lot of conflict within organizations about which projects should be delivered first and how these decisions are arrived at. So if organizations adopt an adaptive portfolio management approach, there is the capability to respond very rapidly to change. You can quickly monitor where resources are being used at any point in time and quickly see what a change to prioritization will happen. This helps to inform rapid decision making. It allows businesses to change what they are doing on the fly. You just can't do that so easily with the traditional portfolio cycle. It's really hard to monitor effectively. In a nutshell, you need a more agile mindset to be successful. Yeah.
And I think people working in this space all around the world, they'll know all about these biggest issues with traditional portfolio management. But as a solutions, not problems kind of guy, I wanted to discuss the world of adaptive portfolio management today. And I know this is a subject very close to your heart. So can you tell everyone listening what adaptive portfolio management is and why more and more businesses are turning to it?
Well, adaptive portfolio management is an approach or a methodology, a way of managing a portfolio, that provides the organization the opportunity to organize and manage different types of projects and activities with a view of pinpointing those initiatives that will provide the highest value. So we are not doing projects for project's sake. The approach is agile, is iterative, which enables speed of delivery. This moves away from the more traditional style of rigid portfolio cycles and instead allows continuous planning and adaptation within the portfolio, which is more flexible. So businesses are fast turning to this sort of approach because ultimately this way of operating a portfolio drives higher performance for the business. And one of the primary benefits is faster delivery time. And this is achieved without impacting on the quality. There's also the opportunity to include change at any stage, which provides an exceptional level of flexibility in the process. And for these same reasons, organizations can benefit from continuous improvement along the way. Clients that I've worked with that have moved to a more adaptive portfolio management approach typically report that their clients are more satisfied with the outcomes. There are also operational reasons for working within an adaptive portfolio management framework, including the fact that all business leaders can see what products are being delivered and the relative benefits of all of them. And this helps in understanding the prioritization. This is also extremely helpful in knowing which resources will be available for new projects because resources are centrally managed. And there is clear visibility of this. As well, it is easy to identify where bottlenecks are happening. You take measures to address these much faster because of turnaround times. And now, in the end, adaptive portfolio management means that the right projects are prioritized at the right time, ensuring improved alignment between work streams and business objectives. Allocation of resources is optimized, as is the decision-making process. So this leads to a much higher likelihood of improved profitability, in a nutshell, the organization will tend to organize within value streams rather than functional areas. So there are many benefits to moving to a more adaptive portfolio management approach.
And as this is a technology podcast, the question I've got to ask is what role does tech play in these processes?
Well, technology helps a lot. Technology is a great facilitator. It provides the much needed oversight across the business when you are using an adaptive portfolio management approach. Good systems like Sensei IQ, which I spoke about in the beginning, offer much easier prioritization of projects through providing this transparency at a glance. The level of oversight is pivotal in helping organizations stay on track with their strategy because the information is always there and it's easy to pull up just when it's needed. So for instance, Sensei IQ offers a sophisticated resource planning approach. The technology available provides resource visibility, ability to optimize your resource utilization by prioritizing high value work, the correct available resource capacity, work and resource optimization, knowing where resources are already assigned, and if those allocations are updating the burnout effect. Being able to provide objective methods for prioritizing work ensures demand is balanced against capacity to deliver, therefore minimizing the risk of overworking resources. And now, especially in this age of what has been termed as the Great Resignation, protecting your resource pool, considering the current shortage of skilled resources, ensuring your people are getting the right work, matching and extending their skill set will give you a stronger chance of retaining them. So where decisions to prioritize are needed, adaptive portfolio management technology is particularly good for facilitating a quick change to different priorities. If the business changes and there's a sudden need to prioritize a product for market for any reason, it is easy to see what needs to be done and to make the changes to the system accordingly. So the technology can be superb for making organizations more responsive, and there are tools available that can help a project manager knowing being more efficient with project and portfolio planning. That said, though, there are a couple of caveats worth mentioning. Picking the right application to suit your business in the first place is an important one. Some systems will be better for large organizations and some for smaller ones. So if you are a small company, you don't want something expensive and hard to manage. And if you aren't sure what to go for, it might be worthwhile to get advice from an expert. So you also want to remember that technology is good, but systems are only as good as the information entered into them by the people using them, of course. So for any changes like this where people need to use new technology, ensuring that they have the right training to be competent is especially very important.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And avoiding that garbage in, garbage out scenario that I suspect many businesses have been through. And for any business leader listening that's hearing about adaptive portfolio management for the first time, do you have examples of how it's helping PPM by maybe providing the capability to better prioritize those right projects? Is there any examples that spring to mind?
Yes, definitely. What it really does is helps gives oversight needed to see other projects or moving resource around to prioritize a project. So for argument's sake, right, let's say you have 2 projects running that are considered high priority. One might suddenly become a higher priority, maybe due to changes in the law or a business need to push out a product sooner to coincide with a particular date suddenly because of all these COVID restrictions. You want to quickly get something in. By using adaptive portfolio management approach, especially in a systemized way, you can see what the impact will be of doing that quite quickly. It might mean you have to move a key developer of one project onto the other, let's say for 2 days, right? Then you can see that the other project might be delayed by a couple of weeks due to another resource bottleneck further along in the project cycle in the testing team. So instead of just assuming the whole project will be 2 days slower to be delivered, you can see just by quickly glancing that the deprioritized project will take much longer than might be assumed through just moving the developer for a couple of days. And then you can estimate the raw cost of that for the business. The commercial decision makers can then decide whether that's the best thing to do or not, given the impact of it. And with the technology as well, this can be flagged up easily to the right decision maker so that everyone that needs to be informed can be informed and, make a more informed decision of the impact that this decision will make. And in every organization that I've dealt with that has adopted an adaptive portfolio management approach, it has just led to a much more, streamlined, efficient process with all stakeholders kept appraised of the solution, and the technology can be excellent in achieving this.
And finally, what advice would you offer any business leader listening wanting to adapt this process in 2022? I'm sure you've seen a few people make the same mistakes again and again. Is there any advice you would offer?
Well, first of all, I'll say go for it, right? It brings so many benefits that the sooner you adapt, the better your organization will function. And a really important area for business leaders wanting to adapt is to consider how to manage the people side of the change. As we are all aware, people typically resist change and will dig their heels in if change is not well managed. And if they are not engaged in it along the way, adaptive portfolio management requires people to behave differently than they have in the past. So instead of a way of working that will feel more stable, the new system may feel a bit unsettling for some. To encourage them to work in new ways, even if it is uncomfortable at the start, employees need to understand why the change is important for the business to succeed. This will, help them understand why and how they could change the way they work. There's a frequently cited figure that is 70% of attempts at organizational change fail. And that's a lot of failure. You don't want your move to adaptive portfolio management to become a part of this very depressing statistic. So using adaptive portfolio management approach is quite a different way of work than in the past. And the change should be led from the top so that everyone understands and buys into its importance. And all of the business leaders need to be on the same page. Otherwise, there's a chance that people will revert to their old ways and the new system will not bed in easily. And also, leaders need to do what they say they will. If you say one thing and do another, people will copy what they do, not what they say. So I would say that it is useful to demonstrate to people that the new system works by reporting on metrics of success achieved as a result of implementing a more adaptive, approach. And this might include some efficient resource management, some time savings, among other things. Customer satisfaction, for instance, is a very good KPI worth measuring. Demonstrates the success of what employees are doing to them, usually helps them cement the importance of the behavior for them and reinforce new ways of working faster.
Fantastic advice. It's so hard getting people to not go back to that old way of working as well. It's probably one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah.
Now, as someone that's listened to the podcast regularly before, you probably know what question's going to be coming now. But I'm going to ask you, is there a song, movie, book, or anything that has inspired you? Do you have a choice of a story that you can share with us today? And we'll add it to our Spotify playlist.
Well, I am a big fan of Afrobeat and Fela Kuti, and he has this song. It's called "Let's Start" featuring Ginger Baker, and it's one of my favorites. And most of it is in Yoruba, but it loosely translates as "Let's start what we have come into the room." And for your listeners that are new to the musical style performed by Fela Kuti, it's called Afrobeat, which is essentially, in Fela's case, a fusion of traditional Yoruba chants and rhythms, some jazz, some funk, highlight, some good drums. And this particular song, is characterized by, having some African style percussion, some vocals, musical structure, along with some jazzy, funky horn section. So the groove of the drums, is particularly special. And Afrobeat is a total art form, closely integrated with some dancing and gesture and dramatization. In Africa, drums they hold a deeper symbolic and historical significance. So they can inspire passion and excitement and even cause trances, momentary loss of consciousness to either the drama or even the listener. And this song really puts me in the zone every time that I need to do something. So yeah, let's start by Fela Kuti is one of my favorites.
And I'm not sure when this episode is going to go live, but we're recording this for you late on a Friday night. So I think Afrobeat is a perfect choice. Anyone listening wanting to find out more information about everything we've talked about today and learn more about how you can help at Sensei Project Solutions, what's the best way of finding you online and contacting your team?
Yeah, so Sensei Project Solutions, you can easily reach us senseiprojectsolutions.com.au. I'm also very active on LinkedIn and always happy to connect. So if you look up Oppong, Oppong, should easily find me. And I'm looking forward to connecting with many of your listeners.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Love chatting with you about adaptive portfolio management because it is such a big topic right now. And there's a lot of people looking at how they can adapt from the old way of working to this new way of working and coming across problems such as how to get employees and team members on board through change management techniques and so much more. But I think you've really demystified it today. So I cannot thank you enough for coming on here, talking about that, and also for sharing your story and leaving us with a killer Afrobeat tune as well. So thank you.
Right, and thanks for having me. Yeah.
So a huge thank you to Paul for sharing the big issues with traditional portfolio management and the inability to react fast enough to changes in the modern digital business environment, and why businesses need to turn to adaptive portfolio management. But over to you. Is adaptive portfolio management taking your organisation away from that rigid portfolio cycle, which is generally considered too cumbersome to meet current business needs? Or is it moving the business to a more flexible approach? Or are you still sat on the fence? As always, let me know your thoughts. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn @Neil C. Hughes. And my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. I'm interested in what you all come back with on this and if your business is adopting adaptive portfolio management. Well, I'm interested in what you all say. So keep those messages coming in. I'll go away now and prepare another guest for you tomorrow. So thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.